Hello, Habs fans. It's your favorite team here from Habs Tonight, coming at you live, breaking down today's news. We finally signed Kirby Dach, a 4-year deal worth 3.3 million AAV. We'll break it all down. We'll give our thoughts, and you watching, comment down below what you thought of the deal. Is it a good deal? What do you expect out of Dach this season and the 4 years we have him for? So, guys, let's get started. Damon, what did you think of the deal?
I woke up surprised. I was not sure that it would be this team friendly, but I'm just really happy it's this team friendly because Kirby Dach is a player who we've seen a lot of flashes of him being a great power forward in the future. But I don't know that it would come so soon. But I'm hoping that this season he can just find the perfect line and settle in well. But it's going to be really exciting to see.
Mhm.
Yeah, the news today broke very early, but this is the news that we're all waiting for as Habs fans. When are we going to finally sign Kirby Dach? And bam, here we go today. We got the 4-year deal, 3.362 million, as you can see on the screen there. But yeah, very team friendly, like you had mentioned, Damon. And it's interesting too because I think it was also today there was a video of Kent Hughes talking, like the little phone call during the draft where they had initially acquired Kirby Dach. And on the phone, you could hear Doc saying, "Oh, like." How excited he is to be part of the team and how they got like such a good young group going and how he's just, excited to be part of it. So that for sure, I think in my mind is a reason why he would take a team friendly deal as such, because especially with all the trades going down during the off season, you could argue that a deal for Kirby Dach would be more than 3.3 million, like we saw today with just everyone going for crazy numbers in the off season. But yeah, it just shows that he's really like proud to be part of the team, and he's willing to take a little bit of a pay cut, even though he could probably fetch a little bit more, which obviously as Habs fans is very great to see. One for the team, and he believes in the project and the group that we got going forward. What do you think of
That's
the
it.
deal, Shaner?
Yeah, I like the term first and foremost. Like 4 years, I think is great because in that 4 year span, he has the chance to develop into the player he's supposed to be, right? He was drafted third overall for a reason. He put up 73 points in 62 games with the Saskatoon Blades in 2018, 2019, his draft year. So the talent is there, the potential is there, but it hasn't translated yet at the NHL level. But with the group that we have, with Marty as a coach, we're going to be an offensive minded team. I think this is the perfect setting for him to really develop and blossom. So in 4 years time, this deal will be a steal. I guarantee it. 3.3 million for, basically a second line center is definitely a steal. We saw what like Nazem Kadri got, right? Obviously that's a different level of a player right now, but nonetheless, it's still a second line center and a good one at that. I mean, he's 6'4", 197 pounds, and he's got mitts like butter. It's disgusting. So the potential is there, but I love the 4-year deal. Okay, Kent mentioned in his presser that they were toying around with a 2-year, maybe 3-year. They decided to go 4-year, and I think that's phenomenal. Now, with Doc signed and with the acquisition of Sean Monahan more recently, the question that everyone is asking, like, we have too many centers, right? So is there going to be a move, and where do you guys see Doc fitting? Could he play on the wing? Could another guy play on the wing? What do you guys think?
I can honestly see Doc being that versatile forward, kind of like that Swiss Army knife who plays anywhere. Right now, as it stands, I have on my just early projected roster for the Habs this season, I have him on the second line with Christian Dvorak and Jonathan Drouin. But I would not be surprised if he makes a move to center, as I'm sure we know Sean Monahan's injury history. And
Mm-hmm.
Sean Monahan is much more of a productive player I find on the wing at this point in his career. So I would not be surprised if if that eventually goes down, if he moves on to the wing and then they moves on to the wing and Monahan, and then Doc takes the center role there, and then there could be switches around elsewhere, but it's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah, and we saw Ken Hughes today too say that Monahan should be now he's starting to practice with the team and he should be at full health come the start of the season. So now that means we got 5 fully healthy centers. So like we said, we
Mm-hmm.
got a lot. We got to see where we fit them. But like you said, Damon, we do have a lot of versatile players. I think that Doc is someone who, if needed, could play on the wing and could provide a lot of value there, given his size and given his ability. We also have seen Jake Evans play on the wing. Sean Monahan too could also play there. So I think it becomes more of a question of which players play best together and what gels the most fluidly. And given that, given what we see in training camp and practices going throughout the season, and even during the games, if we see one trio not clicking, okay, maybe try some players elsewhere, see if something develops. Last year there was a lot of improvisation done. I'm sure this year too, given the amount of depth that we have, especially at the center position, just in our offense in general, we'll see a lot of combinations, a lot of different trios going into the season. But I do see Doc starting at center for the beginning of the year, and then maybe we'll see how things go. If not, I could see him on the wing, like you said, Damon, with someone like Drouin and either Dvorak or Monahan with him in a trio there.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many possibilities, right? And I think that once opening night comes, we'll all be wrong. Like everyone will be wrong. Marty is going to pull something out of his ass that no one expects, and it works. That's just the guy he is. And it's kind of pointless to make predictions, but we'll have fun with it. We'll say what we want to say. For me, I think Doc, like being that he's still 21 years old, I think should pair up with Monahan as much as possible. I think Monahan is a similar type of player, a big, skilled center who has had success in the past, like a lot of success. So I think he's a guy that he could learn a lot from. I'd love to see those two together in some capacity. But yeah, you can definitely switch around some of these centers, put them on wing, but then again, you have too many wings. So are there more trades, right? Kent was asked today if there's going to be more trades, and he was open to it, but he said there won't be cap moves. We won't deal a guy just to deal a guy. There will be a return, whether that's a pick or a prospect. So let's speculate. We've been talking about trades all summer long. Let's keep it going. It's September, but we don't care who gets moved, if anyone.
I've been saying this since last year's trade deadline, or even maybe before then, Mike Hoffman. I just been waiting for the day for him to leave so we can have more defensively responsible forwards.
Yeah.
Or even if someone you want with value or better value, Christian Dvorak. I find a Western Conference team could pick him up because he plays better against those kind of teams. And also he could be a cheap number 2, number 3 center on any given team. So I think Dvorak is more likely the one that I could see going. And also I could see Kent keeping him around, but I don't know that'll be part of the solution here in Montreal because we still have many young center prospects in the system. We can't forget Suzuki, Kidney. We have Oliver Kapanen, and then we have also Jan Mishak, who made some interesting comments this summer about Slavkovsky and Wright. That was savage of him. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I don't see Dvorak as being part of the solution because we have so many good younger forwards coming up. So I think he's going to get dealt either this season, but if we do what I think could work out, just give him a full year under St. Louis or until the deadline if he's really in form, and then putting up good numbers like he did last year when Marty came in. I'd say trade him then and then sell high or try to get that return that you got for him. When we did the first and second round pick trade, of course, in the KK situation. So that's the way I'd approach it. But hopefully Dvorak and Hoffman most likely are the two guys I want to go. But then at the deadline next year, I'm preparing a little bit before. Dadonov probably going to go. Byron, I could see a playoff team using him. Same with Drouin, Allen, and Monahan.
That's a lot of people.
A lot of things could happen, and it really seems, it's unfortunate, but it really seems that Mike Hoffman has become the scapegoat on this channel, always the one in trade talks. I mean, it's normal, but obviously he'd be the go-to. We've mentioned it much on the channel, but given the fact that we have so many centers now, so many healthy centers, injuries not as much as an issue in that department. Now you really need to improve your winger depth. And with that being said, you could trade either someone like Dvorak or Jake Evans for a quality winger or a good depth winger, because especially, we'll talk about it later with Paul Byron, but his health, Ken Hughes said, is in a sort of gray area, and we don't really know what the future is going to look like for him or his long-term health, what that's going to look like. So you can't really bank on having him in the lineup. Plus, we have people like Dadonov, who right now he's only here on a 1-year deal, but we have no idea what the future looks like for those guys. You have a lot of expendable wingers who don't have long-term sort of like concrete roles on the team yet. So that's why I think if you were to make a trade, I'd flip a center for someone to try to improve your winger depth, or to acquire a defenseman with veteran presence or a free agent that could, help lead the young group of players going forward. We know PK Subban is still on the market. I don't know what a return of him having him back in Montreal would look like. I don't see it very likely, but you never know. But yeah, I would either improve the winger depth, go for a veteran D-man to try to lead the young group. That's what I would say. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, it's a tough call because like Dvorak, I feel like would have higher value if we waited to trade him. Like right now, his value is probably not as high as it should be. So I think he'd be more of a off-season next year or maybe deadline move rather than right now. Obviously, Hoffman would probably be the guy to move, right? Because his contract, I mean, he's making $4.5 million, so that's a big chunk off the cap. And I'm sure there's a team that could use him, right? He is a power play specialist of sorts, but still, he has some use for a playoff team, a team that wants to go far and needs some depth scoring. Don't think we'll be getting anything crazy in return, but again, we're moving 4.5 million, and other than that, I mean, it's a tough call, right? Evgeny Dadonov hasn't played a game yet, and we're already talking about trading him. Poor guy. I mean, I've heard rumors about Gallagher. That's one that would hurt beyond belief because he is the heart and soul of the team. He's been the heart and soul for so long. But again, you have to look at, he's making 6.5 million until 2027, right? So to get that off the books, if we can, not retain salary, it's interesting. But again, is it worth it, right? What he brings off the ice, what he brings on the bench, right? It's more than just his on-ice contribution we have to think about. So he's a guy that, we'll throw out there, but I'd be very surprised if he's moved at all. So I don't think there's going to be many trades coming. That's my predictions. We'll keep it conservative here. Maybe one, but I don't think there's going to be much. Now, in terms of cap move, there was a big announcement today, one that we all expected. Carey Price went on LTIR. A few comments made by Kent Hughes in his presser saying that his knee hasn't been responding to whatever treatments they've been giving him, and basically it's not looking good. We will likely not see him at all this season, if ever. We've talked about this already, but yeah, Carey Price moves to LTIR, which makes us go under the cap, which we were exceeding by 10.2 million before, so that feels pretty good. But yeah, what do you guys think about this, guys?
It's not surprising that it happened with Carey Price, but it's just a shame that he might not come back ever, might not come back next season. He's always worked so hard to come back, and all the adversity he's faced in. He's done so much for the community of Montreal. He's done so much for the team. I just can't. We can't thank Carey enough for everything he's done. But I don't know if this will be the end. He doesn't. I don't know, but there's still a lot of variables in the situation. But yeah, just want to thank Carey again for everything he's done for us. But I don't know how the situation's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we've already kind of anticipated this news coming, so it's not as much of a blow to our hearts as Habs fans. But obviously, like you said, Damon, words can't even begin to describe what Carey Price means to the organization, what he's brought to the team already. And yeah, it's going to suck not having him all season, and that perhaps we've seen his last games as a Montreal Canadien. Who knows? But there are positives that come out of it. One of them is the situation, obviously, which does help out the team a lot, gives us more flexibility to kind of play with the roster and get players who could really help the team going forward. And second of all, it really gives the opportunity to show, one, what Jake Allen's long-term health could look like given a full season at number one, and also what the future looks like for Kane Trimo and Sam Montembeault, where these guys could really, hold the fort going forward in the future as our potential starting goaltenders, or whether at the end of the season, Kent Hughes and company need to look at getting their long-term guy. So I think despite the very negative, sad news revolved around Carey and his situation, it does bring out some positives and some questions to be raised for the future, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned Primo, because in his conference, Kent said that the deal is close and he wants to get it done, as soon as possible, even today if he could, but that's not happening, obviously. But no, I think, it'll be interesting to see, our goalies going forward being Allen and Montembeault for this season, having Primo in the AHL and coming up for injuries or whatever. And then deciding if we want to go out and acquire, an established goaltender, or we trust our development and we trust that Montembeault or Primo can become a number one. But I think sadly, the Carey Price era is coming to an end, or it has already ended, which never feels right to say, but it's the sad truth. But it's okay. We move on, and team's looking good. So another guy too that we mentioned earlier, question marks all around him, is Paul Byron. Another winger, right? We're insanely deep at forward here, but is he going to be ready to play? Is he healthy? Like his hip, I mean, he's had so many severe issues with his hip, procedures after procedures, and then keeps injuring it. Is he good to go? Is he done? What's happening with old Paulie here?
From what I understand, Paul Byron is, I think he's going to miss the first 2 weeks, or could be ready within the first 2 weeks, according to Ken's presser. We won't see him in the preseason. But with Paul Byron's situation, he actually, I think it was Sean Monahan who mentioned that he did have contact with Paul Byron regarding his hip. And I think they spoke, and Paul gave him some advice. And Paul Byron is just one of those guys that everyone loves, because he's always worked so hard every shift out there, always done what's best for the team. And I just don't want this to be, I don't know if this will be the end of him. I saw some people saying online that this year could be the final season, but I hope it isn't, because I'm a big fan of his. And of course, breakaway Byron, always scoring breakaway goals. We are going to miss that if it is, but it's really a shame that this hip keeps bothering him, but also hopefully in the future it won't bother him again.
Yeah, breakaway Byron, definitely someone who we're giving our best support for his health. That goal against Toronto in the playoffs is one that I certainly will never forget. That's going to live long in the memory bank for me, with Paul Byron, one of the greatest highlights of his Habs career for sure. But yeah, regarding his health, I do see him coming relatively early on in the season into the lineup. How his hip is going to hold up, we don't know. I have a bad feeling that little tweak and he might be done for a long time. And it's really unfortunate to see, because he does provide a lot of upside and a lot of value to the team. One, his leadership, his speed, and just the constant effort that he brings in every single shift when he's on the ice. Any team would be lucky to have him as a depth winger. It's just very unfortunate given his health. You may not have him for very long in the season at all. We're definitely hoping the best for Paul Byron, that he could, provide some value, especially the fact that we do need our wingers this year more than ever. We do hope that his health will hold up, and that he could, provide some good value for us. But you never know. Knock on wood that everything will be good for old Paulie boy here.
Yeah, that's it. You obviously want the best for the guy, but if you look at the lineup here, I mean, I don't even know where he would fit in. Like we are that deep at our forward group, and we want to give a chance for the young guys to develop as well, get some ice time. So I don't really know where Paulie fits in the plans, which sucks, because I think we all love him. He's a fan favorite, rightfully so. But again, you look at his cap hit; it's $3.4 million just for this year, right? He's becoming a UFA at the end of the year. So, if that goes on LTIR, also relieves some cap issues. But it's going to be interesting to follow this situation. We obviously hope the best for him. If he can slot in a lineup and produce, be effective, so be it. We'll be happy. But otherwise, there's so many possibilities with Paul that that's why I put the question mark at the end. We have no idea what's going on, and we won't know until probably the beginning of the season. So weird stuff going on. But as we wrap up today's video here, keeping it short, let's give a little Kirby Dach prediction for the season. Point-wise, production, line-wise, like where do you guys see Kirby Dach at the end of the year?
I already said that I think the second line, I think Kirby Dach might start as a wing or a center with Dvorak and Drouin. I think that would be a good line for him because he doesn't have to worry about playing defense as much on that line. And that line, I think, creates more than they give up. So I think he starts on the wing and then eventually transitions into it as well throughout the season. And then depending on what situation Marty prefers him in or which situation he's more comfortable with, I think that's the position he'll play. But my reasonable point total, I guess, is going to be maybe 35 points because it's going to be a new team for him. So I think 35 points is reasonable for just a fun little early season guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Kirby fitting in maybe at number 2 center along with Drouin and Anderson. You can imagine the size of that line. It's going to cause havoc for a bunch of opposing teams. Just the thought of that is amazing for us. Plus, you have Slav on the first line, most likely with Suzuki and Cole. It's we're gaining a lot more size on the team. It's a good sight to see for sure. That's one sort of possibility I kind of see him playing for the trios. If not, maybe at wing, and then you have either Monahan or Dvorak at center, like we said, in his position. But for points, kind of with you, Damon, I could kind of see him hitting around. I mean, depending on where he plays, like whether it be second center, third center, obviously it will affect his playing time and his scoring opportunities. But I could see him maybe getting in between, let's say, 35 to 50 points this season. Obviously, depends on where he's going to play, how he fits with his line mates, and how much ice time he's going to get. But that's my prediction for it. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I think we're all in the same ballpark here. I'd go about, 35, 40 for Kirby, depending on who's surrounded with, obviously, given the opportunities he's given. If he gets good power play time, if he has good line mates, that's all a factor that affects his performance. But I think he has the potential, if he stays healthy with good minutes, he can put up 40 points, I'd say, and potentially more. Who knows? I mean, further down the line, I mean, by the end of his contract, I expect him to be, a steady 60-point player. I think that's fair, considering his talent and the role he's going to be given as well. I think he's cementing himself as our future second line center. So I think he's going to be a big production factor for our team moving forward. This year, I mean, we're looking at an offensive team, right? This is something that we're not used to. We're used to being a defensive team with coaches like Claude Julien, Michel Therrien, who are all about defense. I mean, one look at our defensive core and you could tell we're an offensive team, but no jab at our defensemen, but come on, let's be honest here. So I think we'll score a lot of goals, but we'll get a lot of goals scored on us. It's going to be an interesting season, and I think Dach could flourish in that environment in a way where, everything goes right. You're not going to be punished for mistakes. He's 21. This is his 4th season in the NHL already. My God. So like, I think under Marty St. Louis, he could really flourish and do some good. But don't expect too much right away. Obviously, this is a new environment, new team, new line mates. So I think 35 to 40 should be plenty enough. So as we wrap up here, there's still some announcements to be made by the Habs, right? We have a captain. We're still waiting on a captain here. The start of the season is nearing, like it's a month away. Training camp is less than a month away. So we're getting an announcement pretty soon, and we will be the first to break it down. Do not worry. Any trades, obviously, we're the first on it. And tomorrow night, we have a special guest, none other than Mike Weaver, will be on the show with Drew Deeks and Adrian at 8:30. So don't miss that. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Hope you guys have a great evening, and as well to the people watching, enjoy this season and see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.